Full house. That's great.
I'm not used to
One more time, Mike check, we're testing the mic, see if it's, what was it Ronald Reagan said that he got in big trouble for? The Russians or something?
We're the government, we're here to help you.
Okay.
Was it bombing Russia?
Something like that.
I thought it was Iran.
I think it was Russia, but I could be wrong, I don't know. Are we good? You good?
She would know. The Russians are coming, the Russians are coming. I thought that was one of the funniest movies ever made. I saw it when I was about 12 with my parents.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Turnpike Town Hall. For lack of a better name, that's what we're calling it. We're here to visit with our mayor, Larry Heikkila, to ask him some questions and find out some answers to see what we can do to combat these turnpikes. I know. How many of you all here are in favor of the turnpike? Okay, good. It's unanimous. All right, thank you. That's a good start. I just checking to see if there was. Of course, they probably wouldn't say. So we're here to find out what we can do to work with the city to put a stop to these turnpikes that are coming through. We don't seem to have a lot of power, but we have been able to do some great things early on and stop them for a while. They have started things back up again, and I know the mayor has been in contact with the Turnpike Authority, and we're going to be able to find out those things here in just a few minutes, and we will be ready to answer any questions that you all might have. I want you all to remember that this is going to be a fun and pleasant meeting, and that we are here to be courteous and respectful to each other and answer any questions that we can. But we don't have all the answers, and hopefully we'll be able to get some suggestions and some ideas from you all too of what can be done and what you're willing to do. And I do want to, I'll just go ahead and pass that around. If you guys would like to be in on Oklahomans for Responsible Transportation or PikeOffota's email list, I'm going to pass this around. If you want to put your name and phone number and email address on there, you're welcome to. We're not taking a roll. You don't have to do that. It'd just be a good way to stay in communication with everybody. If you'll start that off here and pass it down if you want to. If you don't, that's fine as well. So with that, I would like to go ahead and introduce to you our Mayor, Larry Heikkila, and give him the opportunity to make some opening remarks, and then we will open it up to questions. All right, let's give him a big hand for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to address you and hear your questions. And a lot of times I don't have the answer. There are a lot of things that we tried to work on that haven't necessarily worked, but we'll try to figure out what we can do, what we can do in the future, and at least listen. As Randy said, we got to meet with we were not allowed, we council were not allowed, Mike's in the back. We're not allowed to talk to the OTA because of the resolution that we put out to them, trying to stop them in the beginning. And that kept us from being able to have a dialogue about anything, and which is always hard. If you've ever had a fight with somebody and you haven't talked to them and you haven't done anything else with them, you're not going to solve the fight. So we kept on bugging them until we could go do that. And myself, the city manager, and Councilmember Peacock went up there. He's the vice mayor, if you would, pro tem is the correct term. We went up there and tried to figure out what they were doing. Where are they up to? Where's the design at? Where's all of this stuff at? And try to get as educated as we could so we could bring that back to you and tell you. It was a nice meeting, but okay, we didn't learn a lot of things exactly. I did learn that the north-south part has not been designed yet. I don't know if there's one sitting somewhere else that they've got, but that was not on their map. They promised me that they would update their Turnpike webpage and have all those things ready for that. so that you can tell by the different colors what parts are designed. They did tell me that one of the things that's going in is the bridge that's over in Newcastle. That was, to me, the trigger point. We'd know if something was gonna happen if they put that bridge in. It's a 7,000-foot bridge, over a mile of bridge, it's huge. And so if they're putting that much money into it, then what's the inevitability of the East-West Turnpike? Probably pretty probable. And so we didn't get any input on it. The reason I wanted to talk to them the most was to be able to put some kind of input in there of some sort that we could do, that we could have, that would be constructive. Didn't get much, got kind of told what was gonna happen, and so that's okay. That's the place they're at now. We are not under a resolution anymore. According to the city attorney, what has happened is we can now speak with OTA as a governing body and try to do some things. And I need to know from you guys, if they're gonna jam that down my throat, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna ask for? What can I do? I told them that one of the things that bothered me the most about all of this is the homes. It's horrible for everybody, and I can't think of a way to make that easier. I wish there were, but I'd be lying, because I just can't think of another way. If we start doing the things that we can do, if there are legacy properties in here, properties that came from the land run, properties that came from the 30s and stuff like that, I need to know about them, because let's see if we can miss them. If there are some other reasons that we need to miss them, I'd love to be able to do it, but they told me that they're designing for a 95-mile-an-hour turnpike.
Oh, wow.
So that doesn't mean to be able to do 90 miles an hour. But that's what they're after, is a road that's very much like the Turner Turnpike. Turner Turnpike doesn't move very much. And, yeah, and how do you work that in? Again, not good news, but that's what they're planning. And so that's the truth. Other things that might be in there, we talked a lot about watershed, because that really concerns me. Of all the things that I could mess up now, that 5 or 10 mayors down the road is trying to fix because I made some kind of stupid mistake, we're on that. And we, the city, have worked with a guy that's down at OU that's by the name of Bob Aaron. And what he's trying to do is put a bunch of wetlands in along the Little River so that we can preserve that part of the Little River and keep stuff from going down the deal. OTA said, well, we'd be glad to help you with that project. But it's something. We got that breadcrumb. Are there other things that we need to ask for? Are there, some people asked about animal crossings. Apparently they sent up there something. Let's ask. Some people have asked about solar power for the something. Fine. It's a list of all those kinds of things that we have that you guys want. Or I would say let's also make a list of things that you absolutely don't want. I mean,
We don't want to talk
How about all of us instead of just us? How about you too?
well, I
In the
am.
paper, you haven't been for us, so I'm just saying.
I'm the mayor for all of Norman.
No, you're not.
Okay.
No, let's,
Yeah. If you don't believe that, that's fine. Then why are you sitting here? We got to work these things out.
I wanted to hear you.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
for or against it?
Against it,
Oh, you are?
but I can't stop it.
we can.
There's nothing that we can do. We've been told by the Supreme Court that it's going to happen.
No, it's not.
So you can fight with the Supreme Court. But if the Supreme Court says that it's got to happen, what happens to me if I say something, anything? It doesn't make any difference.
The Supreme Court doesn't make the laws, it interprets the laws.
It
We make the
interprets
laws.
laws.
We
And
make
that's-
the laws.
You're right on. And so the law has to change to make the Supreme Court change their thing. But it's not changed now. And that's the problem. There are laws that are in effect, and you know them as better than I do probably, the ones that allow the OTA to be able to do the things that it's being allowed to do. Whether I like them or not, makes a difference, but it doesn't make a difference to the Supreme Court, and it definitely doesn't make a difference to the OTA. How do we change the laws? You'll have to have different legislatures, late force. Yeah, thank you.
Larry, I think I can answer
Okay.
that just a little bit. We've been working, our group has been working very hard with the legislature the last 3 sessions actually. In the last session, we were able to get quite a bit accomplished. We were able to change the makeup of the board, the Turnpike Authority. Instead of all 6 of those positions being appointed by the governor, 2 are now appointed by the Speaker of the House and 2 by the President Pro Tem of the Senate, which takes the control away from the governor. With that, it will make for more accountability and transparency. This is a big ship. The legislature is a big ship. It's going to take time slowly to move it in the direction we want to do, and we're going to continue to work with the legislature to try to get the laws changed if we can. But that's not something that the mayor can do, and he has to be constrained by the laws that we're under. And I agree with you. We need to change the law, and that's what we're working on doing. But that's not something that we can solve tonight. But we're planning to continue. I know Pam raised your hand. Pam and I have been working very hard with legislators. We got a bill passed this spring that the governor signed, which we were surprised he signed actually, that would, if your property is taken by eminent domain, not just the Turnpike, but any place by eminent domain, then that property, if that's not used within 5 years, that you will have the right to go back and repurchase that property from whatever authority confiscated it for the price that you were paid. So we are doing things to try to change the law, and we're going to continue to do that with your support and your help. So.
Almost every legislative seat is up for election this election cycle, which is the month and a half. Can we identify the people who will actually stand up for us?
We have a very good contingent of legislators that are supportive of us. The bottleneck came with trying to get it through the Transportation Committee chair in the Senate. He blocked a lot of our stuff and said he just wouldn't hear anything. A couple of our bills did not get heard by the Transportation Committee in the House. I had a meeting with the Transportation Chairman last week to talk about that. He may not be, there's a new Speaker of the House, he may not be the Transportation Chair next year. And we don't know what's going to happen in the Senate either, but we're preparing for whatever happens to go back and do what we can to get things changed. This is our issue, this is specifically our issue, and we're very passionate about it, but the legislators have many things on their plate, and it's taken a lot of work to get them to come to where they are. And I think Pam will agree with me that we've worked very hard, and we've made some great strides, but we've got a long ways to go.
But if we can't get them out, if we can't get any cooperation with them now when they're looking to be elected, we certainly can get done once they are elected. So we need to know the people that will support us statewide and help get them elected.
Okay. We can work on that. However, I just wanted to answer your question about the law and what we're doing to work on that. But the meeting here tonight is to work with the mayor and the city and things that we can do. And I want to give it back to you, Larry. So please.
Got a question, Larry?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Here, hang on.
Kind of looking at things a little differently. We're talking about top down just now, who's supporting us. I'm looking at it from bottom up. The group has a resolution that people can see by the door here. 2 questions. Have you read the resolution that we're asking you to sign? And are you willing to sign that? I think that's a clear indication of whether we have support from the bottom up.
Well, there you go. And the answer, I have read it, and it's not up to a standard that we could sign as a resolution. I haven't brought it to council, and so, no, I'm not ready to sign it yet. The thing is, too, about that particular issue. If we go and just throw paper at them, we're not doing anything. We're just throwing paper at them. It won't do any good. I would like to do something that does good. When we talk about moving people into office that can pull the gears or move the knobs that have to be moved, that's the level. The city has really no authority to stop the state from doing anything. And the state can't even stop the OTA. So that makes it way out of my deal. I empathize with it. I've got no problem with it. It's just that it won't do any good that I can see. and it wouldn't get through legal. We'd have to have legal work on some of the things. That's another issue.
We've got a question.
Yes.
Mayor, thanks very much for coming out and
You're loud.
He's loud enough for that.
yeah, I know.
There you go.
But thanks very much for coming out and talking to us tonight. One thing I wanted to convey to you, I don't know if it has been, but that in our meetings with the legislative contingent early on, Danny Sterling, who does cover some of this area, is very much opposed to the turnpikes, made the very important point to us that the local governments, the city and the county, need to be behind our legislative efforts. And that would mean a lot to the legislature, to the committee chairs and things like that, to know that the local governments, who do have considerable sway over what goes on here, are in favor of reform of the OTA and are in favor of things that will help us stop these turnpikes.
If it's getting into the legislature, I still can't do it, legislators, and doing it that way. I'm in favor of looking at it. I'd like to be able to sign it. I'd like to see it before I sign it.
We probably need to, this session's about to end, but we probably need to get you folks and the county commissioners in with our local legislative contingent to get to work with them. Because right now they're in a position where there's literally, in some cases in the Senate, there's one person in our way. And in the House, there's another person who's kind of sympathetic but still in our way. And we need to be able to overcome those barriers. And get those transportation committee chairs and get people like Danny Sterling and our legislative contingent who is trying to help us some help at the local level to be a voice.
Sure.
So that's where we're coming from there.
And that's the proper arena to your question, sir. That's the proper arena to be able to fight this. It's just fighting on ourselves. We don't have any horsepower. Fighting with the legislators to be able to do that. There's power in that, and that's effective, and it makes our time work for something. We can still be, I shouldn't probably say it, but the governor's coming up again for re-election, all kinds of other things. Those kinds of things need to be changed, because that's what, this is his plan, and it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing, he made it up completely independent of me and never asked input on it. And so this is his plan and the transportation department's plan. That's why, yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
If you're not able to support that resolution, you said it wasn't up to snuff, what do you need to sign a resolution that shows your support for keeping it out of court?
That resolution's already been signed, I think, and so. Not by me, that by Greg. The thing that we have to have is, I'd have to have, I know I've got your permission to go up there and do it, but I've got to get other people. Who that would be, the people that are working, there's 130,000. And so we've got to get all that,
So
and all
you
that.
need 130,000 people?
No, I need 60. If it came down to a number, I would want to know that I am acting in the best interest of everybody. I'm trying to do that here, but it's
hard to.
Developers get in the way, don't they?
no, I don't have much. As a matter of fact, I just finished an argument. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Lake Thunderbird isn't a reason to get 130,000 people on board?
Yes, it is. I couldn't hear who that came from, but yes. Thank you. Yes, it is, and that's what we've been trying to do. That's what we're trying to find out. When DOR told them to go west,
No, they did not.
they did not.
They told them that they could not go through the fee title. They didn't tell them
Okay.
where to go at all.
There you go.
We'd like to tell them where to go.
We would like
Yeah, we couldn't hear all that. I'm right here.
I'm sorry.
Here,
The
hold on,
mayor
hold on.
said that the Bureau of I can talk.
No,
The
yeah,
Bureau
but
of
in there.
Reclamation said that the OTA could not go through the fee title lands. He did not say that the Bureau did not say that Turnpike had to go west into Norman. The mayor was mistaken on that. He agreed with me, and we're going on. Thank you.
What about permits? It's my understanding that OTA has to meet with Norman for permitting to begin construction, things of that nature. And those permits can be denied. So 2 questions again, have they approached the city yet requesting to be able to construct and permits? And if on the permits, are you willing to deny those permits?
It'd be up to the permit bunch, whichever one that is, wetland, not wetlands, what am I saying?
You personally?
Oh, me personally, fine.
If you were able to.
If I was able to, we could do that, yes. And we haven't seen anything yet. There's just nothing that's come across there. And so they will. They're gonna do things, they'll probably supersede me. They did that on, there was an aerial electric line that's going from somewhere on Hefner or Draper or somewhere up in there.
Draper to Miko.
It's where?
Draper to Miko.
Draper to Miko.
Know it well.
They shoved that up my nose. And so I get beat up a lot. It's not just you guys, it's other people get me too. And what they said was that's a federal thing that we have to do, and therefore we have the right to be able to do it. And we did.
We got a question over here, Larry.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I think what we're seeing right off the bat here is a division in attitudes that people have towards this situation. It seems like you have pretty much given up. And we haven't.
Yep.
Having said that, it's not a matter of where should the turnpikes go, or what properties they should avoid, or is it this or is that. The issue is, should they go at all? Anywhere in the city of Norman City limits. I should also clarify that the 2 resolutions by the door are not the new resolution that is proposed. Those are the first one is the resolution from 1999 that the city council approved. The other one is from 2022, from 2 years ago. In 2022, the city said, OTA, you give us these studies and you give us this information, otherwise we're not on board. Well, it's been over 2 years. And so I think that's long enough, but I think the fundamental issue is, I don't buy the idea that state trumps the city. I don't buy the idea that feds trump the citizen. That's not how our country was founded. Our country was founded in that the citizens tell the government what to do.
Yep. Yes.
Because they are our servants and not the other way around. So I again ask you to support the new resolution. I think if the city attorney gave you advice that you can't talk to the OTA because there's a resolution in place, it's bad legal advice. And I've been told that by a few attorneys.
Yeah.
So that's my piece.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't have an answer.
My question just kind of stems off of the rest of it. Is there anything that you or the council are doing to get more of that power back for your citizens? Because I understand you saying that you don't have anything that you can do moving forward right now. So what else do we need to do to get you the power to say that doesn't happen in our town? Because you are the person that's representing us.
Trying to. That's a legal question. I don't know what.
But have you asked your legal counsel what you can do to
Yeah,
stop this?
we have, and we've had hours of talking about can we do, should we do, can we block, what can we do? And we've gotten nothing out of that. And so it'd have to be an attorney thing. I don't know what I would ask for. I know the ways that the state laws are set up make us subservient to the state. They pay us and we cannot supersede their rules. We can't do anything else.
Sure you can.
As alluded to here, there's permitting authority.
Yeah.
Sean O'Leary has previously said that the city needs to hold the OTA's feet to the fire And if the OTA does not comply with city floodplain ordinances and city floodplain regulations and things like that, it was they shall not pass. So that's the first thing that can be done. Another thing is don't buy into their notion that they get to put a turnpike in and block our access by not putting in frontage roads. They're trying to do that too. They're trying to put a multi-million-dollar obligation upon the city because they've gotten away with it before. And just say we're basically going to turn your city into a bypass. We certainly don't want to do that. And at some point, what you do is you kind of convince them that this deal ain't feasible anymore. And they need to go off and look at other alternatives that would work better for the people and other alternatives that would work better for the state and the city, is what you do.
I can do that.
There is no silver bullet in the city's guns right now, but there are many shotgun shells in the city's arsenal.
And those can be done. That's something it really irritates me to think that they would leave me. They were nice and they said, "Well, we'll leave you room for an access road." All right, at about $5 million, I forget what the exact number is. How many $1 million is it going to cost to build an access road? And if I build an access road, you know what's going to happen then? The guys that don't like developers are going to be having more developers in their backyard. If I leave the access roads off, they can't develop, the hotels don't come, all the other stuff comes. So that leaves me with that game going. We're trying to do everything we can to not populate out here. I've got a feeling that by the time I'm in a box and everything 20 years, 30 years down the road, that will be, you will be right, whatever the gentleman that said, that said the developers will be out here trying to do that. I'm trying to hold them at 48th Street, and it's about as much as I can hold.
And absolutely, that's within the power of the city to say, not only do you have to comply with our floodplain regulations to pass, but we're not going to turn this into a reduce East Norman and the Thunderbird watershed to concrete. If you absolutely get the rulings you need to put your road through, that doesn't mean that we're going to turn this into a development bonanza out here. And again, then it starts to look much less feasible to them, and they start to lose their constituency, and it starts to become pointless to build a pointless road.
It does.
So there.
And they go away.
And just the expense, that much more stuff. There was a question in the set of questions I guess I got from you, about access roads on Indian Hills. Same kind of question. If they cut them, they think them better fix them. Because we don't have the money to be able to fix something that somebody else did. I mean, somebody had a wreck and burned up part of the pavement, they're going to pay for part of the pavement that wreck caused. We can't let the state do that to us. We don't let our own citizens do it.
This piggybacks on the permits. There is something the city can do. On Indian Hills, just east of I-35, that is not just a floodplain, that is a floodway. There are federal regulations, and if I'm not mistaken, one of those regulations is the grade can't be changed. I'm sorry, they're gonna have to change the grade. So why are we saying we can't do anything when there's a federal regulation that says they can't change the grade? Why would you give them a permit to do that?
I would. I'll have to read the
Are you telling me
regulations.
they're not gonna change the grade?
I'm not telling you anything.
If not, the Turnpike's gonna be underwater part of the time.
No, it won't.
It's a floodplain.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
And the thing is, I've got to read it because I don't know that regulation.
Graded on the ground and the bridge over it. Yeah.
They're not changing the grade, they bridge over.
Will I read it?
Will you read it?
Yes. I'm gonna have to find it first. I'm not Mr. Floodplain.
Are you willing to take some of these stands that Mr. Norman has talked about that would benefit
the city of Norman.
Anything that'll benefit us is better.
You're willing to take a stand?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 60 people here.
I work quietly, I don't always work noisy, and so that's the difference in a lot of us. Maybe that's what's, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor Heikkila. I want everybody in this room to listen to this question because no one is actually thinking about this. And this is something that you could do for us. You ready?
Right.
All right. When a property is purchased, taxes are assessed based on fair cash value or market value. All right? Each year after, the taxable fair cash value is capped by law at 3% increase.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's an advantage to owning property long-term. And I dare say most of the people in this room have lived in their homes 10, 20, I know I've been there 30 years.
35.
So there's an advantage to holding on to your property for a long term, all right? Property owners in the proposed toll road path are 20 to 30-year owners. If they become displaced through eminent domain, they will see a substantial tax increase based on the new market fair cash value paid when they're relocating. This becomes a substantial tax burden, especially for those retired or on fixed incomes, and is a tax revenue increase for Cleveland County. Will you work with the county to create a tax amendment to change this unfair tax burden on those affected by the use of eminent domain?
If I can do that legally, can I do that legally?
You
You
work
can
with
work-
you work with the assessor and again, work with the legislature to change
And the
how those
county
taxes
tax
are
board.
assessed, yeah.
And believe you me, you know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have a conversation about doing something
What did
that's
you call that exemption?
prohibitive.
What did you call that exemption?
It's an amendment to the tax revenue.
Okay. Again, that's something else I'll have to read. But yes.
I've got one right over here, I promise. I will come right back to you next week, okay?
It's tough being Randy.
Randy, I don't need it.
All right. You'll get his in later.
All right.
I got two questions. Who runs the OTA? Governor? Governor?
Well,
Governor?
Governor
The
Joey
governor
Kelly.
is the only one that has a say as to what the OTA does?
I doubt it. He's the new director of that. The old director is now ODOT. And so, and they're kind of cousins.
Yeah, but you're saying that nobody can stop the OTA.
What it is nobody can stop the Access Oklahoma plan that the OTA has, that we have been able to do so far.
We can.
Another question. I was told that this plan has been in effect for like 30 years or so.
The one.
That they plan on putting the turnpike on this area for that long. Now, my question is, when I go and buy land, I have the title company go and put any leads or anything on the land.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why is it that they don't have to tell citizens that there is a plan for our government to take our land and put a turnpike there? We should know that, because I tell you what, I for one, if they said, oh, we're gonna put a turnpike in, it might only be 30 years from now, I would tell them to kiss my butt. I would not buy that land. So why can they're deceiving us, they're robbing us.
Yeah, that's not the OTA, that would be the realtors.
Well, I don't care who does it, it should be.
I have something in the air.
Who sold the land? OTA didn't sell it. Unless it was on the question.
I love
Somewhere down the line, to put a turnpike in where we're building our place.
Okay.
So why are we not informed of this before we put money in and we build our houses and we build all our stuff there, and then they come and say, oh, what tough, we're taking it. We already had this plan to do. How can they do that to people?
I don't know that answer.
Well, who can we find out from if that's legal for them to do that to people? I mean, who would buy land if they knew the government was gonna take their property, could take their property in 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Who buy it? No, so why are they not letting us, they're doing it because they know nobody would buy it.
That probably, but it could be, at least, I don't know. I don't know that this Turnpike plan has been in effect for 30
Well,
years.
they need to find it out, because that's what we've been told. I mean, that's the way to check it out.
I believe I can give an answer to that. There is, Pam helped me with this, that, where all the map is, it has all the turnpikes drawn out on it. What's that? Thank you. The Enabling Act, there is, I believe it was in '87, there are a number of turnpikes all over the state that have been authorized by the state legislature, and that information is available. And I don't know that there are any, I mean, I think you probably have to go through the legislature to make that be attached to a property that was up for sale, so that people would know about that. Well, okay, why don't we? Let's go to the legislature and do that. You know, I'll tell you, I said about probably 20 years ago, I said, why didn't somebody do something about this? And I realized I was the only one I had any control over, so I got my butt busy and I started getting involved in politics and getting things done. So that's what we're here to do today. I mean, we can't point our finger and say who's going to do something about this if we're not willing to do it ourselves.
Well,
I agree with you, but what are we going to do?
Well, that's, see, I'm knowledgeable as to who we go see and who we talk about. But the other thing is too, also, do you know all these other turnpikes, they're having progress that they're gonna put in? What is there, 12 more turnpikes? Okay, why can't we get that information out to them? People in Norman, the people of Oklahoma City, look, this is what the OT plans to do in years gone, and list where the turnpikes are going, so all these people can see that eventually we're not the only ones losing our place, that they're gonna be losing them.
I think that's a
We
good.
have more people that would be behind us to stop the OTA for sure. But somebody has to know all these things and know what to do to get it out to the public.
Ma'am, may I have a word with everyone? My name is Pam Post, and I work with Randy a lot of the state legislators, the Capitol, where I go frequently. I don't know your name, you are?
Roberta.
Hi, Roberta, nice to meet you. Randy mentioned the Enabling Act. If you go into state statute, which is something that common people do not do, I don't do it, I know how to do it now. Back in 1940s, late 1940s, the state of Oklahoma set up the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, which was named something else at that time, and they became OTA eventually. They set up the means to build the Turner Turnpike. That was in an Enabling Act. Then, for some reason, brilliant people back in that day decided that, funding these roads with tolls is a good thing. And over the course of years, they developed and added to the Enabling Act 35 more routes, bridges, tollways that can be built through the use of toll money. That is in an Enabling Act. It's in statute 28. What statute is it, Rob?
It's 69 OS section
1705.
1705. That's where it is. And there's a whole long list. One of the things our group did at the very beginning is we went through that Enabling Act. We got a state of Oklahoma map, and every one of those descriptions we put on that map. It is out on our website for anyone to see at any time you would like to see that. It's at pikeoffota.org. .com, I'm sorry, you're right, .com. I understand your concern. Why would you buy the land? My husband and I bought land 7 years ago. When we purchased the land, we looked at where the Kickapoo went and where we thought it was going to go. I knew nothing about the Enabling Act. The Kickapoo went here, the lake is here, my house is here. We went, there's no way a turnpike is going to go over here. It went on the east side of the lake. Nope, Supreme Court defeated us. Supreme Court said basically, OTA, you can build the road where you want to build it. It was a big, heartbreaking defeat. Now I'm looking at having a turnpike in my backyard. My husband and I feel like we went above what should have been required of the ordinary citizen to have to go look at. But I have also been told by realtor friends of mine and other people who have bought in my neighborhood, and this may be something that we need to change, that realtors are not required to tell you what may be built around where you are purchasing land. And I know.
It's like you have no rights whatsoever.
But you got
They're
it.
just setting you up so they can take your stuff.
You're right.
And people say, well, they're paying you. They can't pay me enough for what I have.
I know, I have sympathy for you because they cannot. Nobody in this room losing their land is going to get what they believe it is worth, and it is a sad situation. And our mayor has been gracious enough to come out and talk to us. We want to work with our mayor. We are fighting the Supreme Court. We are fighting Oklahoma Supreme Court. We are fighting legislators who are former mayors who think this is a great idea. We are fighting committee chairmen. You talk about elections. You know, the House is up for re-election. Not everybody drew an opponent. When you are in your district, go look at who's running and ask them where they stand. There's going to be changes at the Capitol that we're going to have to figure out because we're losing the Speaker of the House, we're losing the Senate Pro Tem. Not that that's a bad thing all the time, but we've built those relationships and they're going away and we're going to have to rebuild them. So we're working as hard as we can with our mayor, and he is here to help us. I understand what you're going through. I feel guilty, and the reason I've got involved in this is because I have family members who could very well be looking at a turnpike out the front door.
Well, is there a way we could get this on? I mean, everyday people don't know to go to the OTA. They don't know to ask a realtor about a turnpike. And can we get these other turnpikes that are there, but get it somehow?
And I will tell
The
you.
legislature, if you want to get busy and help us work with the legislature to get that, there's
I will tell
laws
you,
can
we
be
have
passed,
put
yes.
in and submitted legislation, multiple pieces, to stop the Enabling Act, and we're not working, it's not working right now. The more the
Absolutely.
better.
Right.
Get on our website and sign up. Thank you
So-
all.
Thank you, Ann. Part of it is from the stories I've heard. In '99, whenever the first round came through, they dropped it and they said, we're done. And we believed them, and that was the problem. From what I've heard from Dave, he's kind of our historian. So I know a lot of what Randy's been doing, and probably Pam, a lot of them have been working to get a sunset clause put on these turnpikes. Because right now, in '99, they said, we're done. And we just said, cool, let's go on. But we didn't get it in writing. And so at this point, I know Randy's been working for years now on a sunset clause where these would expire. So instead of these authorizations sitting in the bucket for 20, 30, 40 years, waiting for someday to be built, the sunset clause would pull them out of that bucket, so that if they want to go back and redo it after they've said they don't want it anymore, they would have to go back through those authorizations, not just say, hey, let's bring that back up to the front. So that's a huge piece of it.
Yeah, and I believe that was that 2264?
I think so.
House Bill 2264 would have done that. What you're talking about, taking those out of the authorizing, whatever it's called, sorry. I'm not good on the words. But it did not, we couldn't get it out. We could not get the committee chairman to hear that at the House.
That's why we need
So we need
so much involvement to get those. And I think, Mayor, that's part of the reason we're pushing so hard on these resolutions and things again is we learned our lesson. We wanted it right now.
Ask the tribes if you ought to get it in writing.
Exactly. I know.
And that's true. That's a great strategy. That hadn't occurred. I guess we never had that conversation. That's a great strategy because then you can stop things way before they even happen. And without the fear of them ever having to happen or have to sit on a tax roll and watch those things, because there isn't any way, as you were asking your question, I was going through all the properties I've ever bought, which is 4, And did I ever look for a turnpike? No. I looked for water lines, oil lines, all kinds of other stuff that was surface. Just any kind of junk that was
Okay.
on the ground. I never even thought about that.
What about the aquifer that I live on top of that doesn't tie into Thunderbird or Draper, where right now you don't even have to have a softener with it? I mean, you can drink it right out of the ground.
Yeah,
I got just low sodium in that water.
yeah.
And Norman took that area over several years back, and it's one family per 10 acres of land.
Right.
How can they build a turnpike across the top of my aquifer, and what's it gonna do to my groundwater?
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. That's one of the things I want them to prove to me, because we used to live out on 24th in Rock Creek. And my little perched water table that we had, our little aquifer underneath it, was a great. It didn't matter how dry it got, it didn't do anything. Oil well went in. I couldn't stop the oil well that was in the quarter section next to me. And we moved, because I didn't want to be feeding something to my kids or me that's coming out of a well.
Right.
Well never got contaminated, and all the rest of that. I don't know how to exactly do a guarantee on something, but we will strive to do everything that I know how to do. I'm not a groundwater guy, I'm not any of the others, but those are the things that we have to protect. If you look at our great-grandchildren, what are they gonna have? What legacy are we leaving them? And it's better be good water.
Well, I just know that Norman took over that area probably 25, 30 years ago. I've been out here 44 years. And that was the basic reason they took that area, was to keep it pure and non-contaminated.
Where are you at?
Pardon me?
Where are you at?
I'm right here on 108, 3/10 of a mile south of 149th Street.
Oh,
I'm right next door.
okay.
Yeah.
Would Water Resource Board be a resource to get that stopped?
The Water Resource Board used to be a great idea with me until last week, when they decided putting out permits for marijuana farms where you can dump 6 or 7 million gallons out to grow marijuana, and I'm not a fan of marijuana. Agriculture's one thing, but pumping those small aquifers out is not, we can't.
Well, they won't even give me a permit to build on the back 10 of my land right there. I can't. They won't give me one because of the aquifer.
Yeah, but they're saying the turnpike should go through there.
Well, how though?
But
Exactly.
you're asking for a permit from the city?
Yes.
Okay, well, the
I
Turnpike Authority-
understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I'm quite familiar with everything, but my deal is they won't allow me to build on it, so how can anybody else be able to?
Exactly.
How can they put a
It
turnpike
should be
there?
the
Or
same
even-
standard. It should be the same standard.
Should be. The side street even along through there, which is gonna put it further into it.
Any more questions
I
from the
lost a
front
Massey
till the back?
Ferguson 26 tractor down there for 3.5 months.
Richard's got the one.
Yeah.
I've got one here, and you want back to Richard, you're up.
Thanks. Mr. Mayor, Richard LaBarth, I'm a lawyer. I work with Stan Ward on the Open Meeting Act case that we won in the trial court before Justice Winchester's opinion. You know, I've done some digging and done a lot of research and learned a lot about the history of our turnpikes. I think most people in this room have an appreciation that Governor Roy Turner initially, when he launched the very first turnpike, which is named after him, assured Oklahomans that once the bonds were paid off, it would become a free road for Oklahomans. And then the legislature got busy because big money seems to be quite an aphrodisiac for people in our legislature historically, and I don't think that's changed much down to this good day. But in 1954, the citizens passed an initiative petition to confirm what Governor Turner had promised. The very next year, in 1955, the legislature undid that very fact. So we have a rich history going back 70 years of a whole lot of funny business that seems to follow the money. There's a whole lot of people here There's no billionaires, or I suspect there are probably very few, if any, millionaires in this crowd. There's just common citizens that don't want to be steamrolled by big government, not giving a damn about their private property.
That's right.
And their private property rights. So I salute you for coming here. I know you haven't, all of your answers haven't been met with a lot of joy from the audience, but I at least salute you for coming here and taking a little bit of pain and talking to us. The Access program, when it was, of course, it was hatched in secret. We all know that. And the men and the companies that make these unspeakably enormous sums of money, they knew what was coming down the pike, no pun intended. Maybe it was intended. They knew, and in fact, they were intimately involved in designing the plans. Anyway, it was rolled out by the governor and said to be a $5 billion enterprise, and that'll buy a lot of friends at 23rd and Lincoln. Well, it turns out that Mr. Gatz was overheard to acknowledge that, in fact, it looks like it's going to be $7 billion, or a little north of that.
This week.
So the beat goes on. Nothing much seems to change, although I salute Randy and the Pikeoff folks and Tassie. Thank goodness we have people like Tassie Hirschfield.
Amen.
And Dave and a whole bunch of passionate people that are hardworking, that research the heck out of this stuff. And, I'm not in Pikeoff. They're my ally. I respect them. But I encourage each and every person here to write a check, even if it's only $25, and help these people. They are working tirelessly to fight for you guys. They've got Rob Norman, who's a heck of a lawyer, helping them. And like I say, I'm not exactly officially in their camp, but I sure do like them, and they are our allies.
You're in the camp. You're part of the camp.
But, there's a problem because our opponents, that's the money. They're sophisticated. That kind of money buys a lot of sophistication and influence. They know who to donate to. They know who to set up PACs for. And they do. And they happen to be people in leadership and the heads of these committees. And in fact, the gentleman, I won't say his name, but who is the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee,
John Davis.
He was overheard to say he wasn't going to let any of these dadgum reform bills come out of his committee. Well, and he's also, I haven't confirmed this, but he's rumored to have received a very handsome PAC contribution.
It's confirmed.
So if Tassie says it's confirmed, it's confirmed. Anyway, all this to say, I'm going too long, but I really want to encourage everyone to support Pikeoff, and if it's $5 or $10, do it. Do whatever you can do, because they are not giving up, and I'm not giving up. We're going to keep this thing going.
Amen.
I'd just like to add to that, Randy and I have been talking, taking your advice before he gave it, of talking together and doing things, meeting at a restaurant, just we buy water because it's cheap enough to be able to buy right now. And so he's been working with me all the way along. I mean, this hasn't been, it wasn't something that popped up yesterday, and others have been in that. But do you have a question? Yes. Yes.
Hi, Mayor. I'm Andy Mintz. I'm the state representative for East Norman. I have filed a few bills last year and this year, some successfully. We were talking earlier about notifying folks. I filed a bill that would require actual notice. So right now, statute says that the Turnpike Authority they just have to advertise in a publication in Oklahoma. So they could take out an ad in the Guyman paper about our turnpike here and be above board statutorily. So my bill would have required them to send via certified mail a letter to property owners who were in the path of a proposed turnpike. I also had another one this year that got a gasp away from the governor's desk about open records requests. And that one was not specifically geared toward OTA, but it would have included them. It was a larger blanket because these are my people and they deserve to know what they're asking for in a timely fashion. And so my bill would have required that a public agency respond to somebody within 10 business days of when they made a request for public information that their tax dollars are paying for. Oftentimes, folks go to agencies and ask for stuff and they don't get it. That last one was blocked by municipal leaders and former municipal leaders. And so I just kind of wanted to get here because you and I haven't met on this at all, and so I just wanted to see if those are two ideas that you might be supportive of in the future.
Yeah. Particularly notification thing, but that's got to be tweaked. They make me make sure that I post any legal notice in the organ of the city, which is for us the transcript. I can't put one. We made a mistake one time and put one in a journal record because the transcript was having problems getting things done. So we put it in the journal record. Well, that was a kick in the shins. We had to take the meeting and bring it over again, and it was bad. So anything that we can do that makes sure that it's the people in that city, that the main newspaper in that city that publishes where it is a good idea. Notification is a fantastic idea, but it needs to be attached to the deed in the I was pointing to the assessor. I don't know why he's over there. He's not. But in the assessor's office, it needs to be marked on that deed somehow as a permanent record. Unless we can get the things.
The issue is mailed notice.
Certified mail.
Yeah, what the bill was the bill, the Turnpike Authority, when they put in a turnpike and get the Oklahoma Supreme Court's authority to do so, just has to send out, publish a notice in a newspaper of general circulation. The bill would seek to make the Turnpike Authority, who has designed a route, just like the city does when the city tries to close a street or tries to do a zoning change or basically mess with anyone's property.
Yeah.
The city has to mail notice. So do businesses. So do the county. So does everyone virtually except the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. So really, what this sought to do was just create a level playing field and allow people to get mailed notice that a turnpike may be coming down the road. And the other one had to do with an open records request that didn't put a deadline on the government authority to respond to an open records request, but just told them, if you can't get it done within 10 days, tell the person who made the request and try to give them a reasonable amount of time in which you can do the request. And that's what Representative Menz is saying the municipalities opposed.
They could have, was that
Blocked would be a better word.
Yeah.
O&L did that? Oklahoma Municipal League?
Yes.
They did.
Got some questions back here. All right, I'll come to you next. She's been squirming back there.
All right, my name is Cheryl Blake. I don't own property in any of the proposed roads. I just have opinions and I have time, but I can't always put the time everywhere that I want it to go, but I have interest and I want to do. And I wanted to go over some of the things that have been said here, just try to straighten things up just because I want to. First thing is, federal constitution is the supreme law of the land, and what they doesn't want to keep, they give it to the states. It goes to the states, what the state doesn't want to keep, they give it to the municipalities and counties and those kinds of things. So we can complain all we want to about what does this and what doesn't do this, but that's the way the structure is, and it just doesn't affect us good on this particular kind of thing. So we have to live with it, and we have to figure out how to go about changing things within the confines that we have. There was some question, said something about the water and the aquifers. When they were talking about widening Highway 9, before, about the time they were finishing up 72nd or whatever there, the engineers came out from the state of Oklahoma and assured us that in the areas where those are going, the well water is in a different aquifer type thing. It's smaller pools of water, And when you do the deep drilling for different kinds of things and for like the antenna towers and the city was wanting to do wells, that goes into a different aquifer. And then there are separate laws that have to deal with the negotiations on surface damages on any oil wells and the rights to drill on that, and that's separate law of what they have to do and the notice that they have to give. And they're also supposed to be going down further than where our water supplies are. So I think we're okay on most of this stuff and not need to be worried about the subwater. It's the top surface water and whether it runs all the way into the lake before it soaks down into the ground. You're probably more in danger of your septic lateral lines getting into your well than you are on a lot of this other stuff. That's just what I've been told. So I think we're okay on that. I think needs to be a distinction between a turnpike and a toll road. And going back, remembering my parents, when we were going from Oklahoma City to Tulsa to go visit Aunt Dewey while we lived in Norman, we were happy to have that because there were only 4 places to get off, and so you didn't have to watch for merging traffic. And the idea was for it to go to Oklahoma City to Tulsa and vice versa without stops, and it would make it easier for those people because Route 66, as beautiful as it is, was not practical for doing those. A lot of business was transacting between oil companies and people in prominent places and money and all that. And we would stop at the toll booth, and the nice lady in there would give her change because you didn't have credit cards, PIKE passes, or any of that other stuff. And if you were at a small one, you threw the coins in the basket and you went on through. And now we look where we are here. And what I've seen, what they did in Tulsa with that creek, turnpike they call it, and every 2 or 3 miles there's an exit. That's not a turnpike. A turnpike was supposed to get you from one place to another without having to go through all the traffic because you were the ones that were needing to go to some place that wasn't in the middle of town and wasn't going. And they have toll roads, and that sounds like that's what they're trying to do around here is a toll road to take tolls for you to do it. And when we would throw our money in, my dad would always say, "I'll be glad when this is paid for and we don't have to do this again."
Yeah.
You know, and everybody else parents do the same thing. This is what we were told, and here we go. And so about the time, and one would be close to being paid off, they do another one. And we said, well, I thought it was each individual one. And they said, well, no, they said, as long as you're still building one, if you're gonna build another one, then you keep building. As long as you're building, you can toll all of them.
No, it's as long as there's bonds that are.
Well, and this is what we were told, you know, and so you're getting into all of these things. But the bottom line is, we keep looking for ways to raise money, and I keep asking, how does this help anybody? Because I don't know if you've been on the Turner Turnpike lately, but if it's a bad road. It's a really bad road, and they're widening it, and they're doing all that stuff. And when you get on the good and the Kickapoo Spur, I mean, I'm happy because I can go 80 miles an hour, and if I see 4 cars on my direction and 6 coming the other way for that whole 15 miles, I'm like, this is very safe. But anyway, it sounds to me like what we're needing to do is to try to figure out where we can place our resources for our fights. The legislature needs to have some changes. And so rather than us talking here about this and you being limited on what you can or cannot do, and the things that we can't change and the things that we can, my asking of you is whether or not you would be amenable to creating a subdivision or something within the mayors in the state of Oklahoma where you all got together as a mayor's council and had a turnpike council, because a lot of other places are going to be affected. And we should be learning from the others that have gone through this, finding out what they were doing and what they were not doing. And since your authority is limited, I think the strength in numbers from you as mayors would be something that would help. And then for this group, I think it would be a good thing for you to kind of designate different areas of concern and let people help and develop if it's going to be with contacting senators and legislators, whether it's doing all of that, and put those boards out there or the committees or whatever, and let us choose which ones we think we can help the most. So thank you very much for your time.
And then I do belong to the Council of Mayors, and I can ask them that question, and I will push to make that happen. I don't know if that's ever come up in the 2 years that I belong to it. It should.
Why not? Yeah, why hasn't it? I mean, you can bring it up, right?
Bring it up.
Yeah.
Bring it up. And
Let's organize this, make it happen.
there you go.
It's after 8, one more question. All right, Kate, make it quick.
Okay, the Transportation Committee, and in both the House and the Senate,
when I have spoken to them personally, they are under the belief that most of the opposition to the Turnpike is just from, a few people, a few NIMBYs that are gonna have it in their land. We have tried to convince them as a group that that's not true, that it is affecting all of Norman and areas outside of Norman. But they're not seeing you personally up there. They're not seeing the council members up there. So it's really just the few of us that are up there. So for my first question is that your opinion as well? Is that there's just a few of us that are in opposition to this Turnpike and the rest of Norman's okay with it?
No.
Okay, then my follow-up question is, would you be willing to personally speak to all the members of the Transportation House and Senate and let them know that all of Norman is opposed, the whole of Norman is opposed to this Turnpikes?
I guess, I don't know how you even get on the agenda.
You don't have to go to an agenda, you can just walk up to their office and walk right in their door and speak to them personally. I've done it 50, 60 times.
Here's one of the transportation committee right there.
There you go. I'm on both transportation committees. I'm happy to help set that up. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's we have run out of time. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for your support. I think this was a good meeting. I think we appreciate you very much, Mayor, coming out and visiting with us. I think it's been healthy for our cause, and let's keep up the fight. And if you guys want to, I did pass that yellow pad around if you want to put your name and email address or phone number on there, and we can make sure we get you on your mailing list. Allie has it back there. Once you put, can you pass it back up here and we'll leave it on the table if you want to sign up for our emails, and please do, and we will get you on the list. So that is all I've got tonight. Thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate your support, and let's keep up battling.
Great crowd.